What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Fantasy Football. My name is Ryan Linkletter. Today, we are talking about quarterbacks that I am buying into or fading at the back half of the quarterback one list right now. A lot of these names are popular names this offseason, have been gaining some traction. Maybe some people love them, maybe some people don't. I'm here to tell you reasons why I love and don't love these players heading into the 2025 season. We know dynasty drafts are in full swing now, so make sure you guys are locked in for that and checking out our content. And if you guys are looking to get ahead in your redraft formats, this video is perfect for you as well. Let's start with our first name here, Bo Nix for the Denver Broncos. We know Bo Nix had a breakout season in his rookie year for the Broncos, and ultimately, Nix was really good down the stretch. He finished as the quarterback 9 overall, and he finished with 19 points per game, which was really ideal. 30 touchdowns and rushed for nearly 500 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. After week 8, it really felt like there was a shift in Denver with Bo Nix's production. 21 points per game. The offense seemed to really run through him. They couldn't figure out a ground game to save their lives last season. And it makes me feel really confident that Bo Nix heading into year 2 with another receiver added. Pat Bryant was a really good player for U of I last season. They had a guy like RJ Harvey in the backfield. You already know they have a great defense as well. Sean Payton's an incredible play caller. There's a lot going for Bo Nix heading into year 2, and I have a hard time seeing a regression season for him. It feels like his floor is QB12. It feels like his ceiling can be QB5, QB6 with that rushing upside. I really think Bo Nix is a really solid pick in the later rounds of your draft, and he's a guy that you should definitely be taking a look at investing that quarterback draft capital that we love to see in Bo Nix because he is in for a really solid second season. The next player here, a player that I'm avoiding, is Dak Prescott. Now, Prescott returns after an injury-plagued 2024 NFL season, and we know that they added George Pickens this offseason to finally give him a solid wide receiver 2 for the first time in a few seasons. But all in all, I am out on the Dak Prescott hype train right now. Prescott really struggled last season in a lot of these different games. 11 points, 14 points, 16 points, 5 points, 15 points, 12 points were some of his outings. He did mix in a 29.9 outing against the Baltimore Ravens when they were really struggling. But Dak Prescott was off all season, finished with a career low 184 rushing yards during a full sample size. The rushing value with Dak Prescott is now completely gone. This team does not have a running back I feel super confident in right now in fantasy football purposes. It's Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue. We don't know if any of these guys are going to be truly good options or even above average options for the Cowboys this year. It felt like Rico Dowdle found his place last year. They let him walk, and now they roll out these 3 running backs in a run-heavy scheme. Doesn't look great for the Cowboys. It looks like they are going to have to, potentially throw the ball more, which a lot of people think could be good for Dak, but it makes his team one-dimensional on offense, allowing defenses to, pick apart this Cowboys team. And I don't think volume alone is enough to propel Dak to a consistent QB1 finisher without that rushing upside and that security that we know and love from that Cowboys offense that just doesn't seem to be there. And I think the change between Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer could be a little bit different too as well for Prescott. And we know McCarthy loves to throw the ball. Schottenheimer's a little bit different. We'll see how stubborn he gets down the line when this running game seems to falter. But it's really hard to buy into Dak Prescott right now with a bad running game. I love the receiving option, with George Pickens' addition, but I don't think it's enough for me to say, hey, Dak Prescott, you're a guy that I want to draft right now. I'm not necessarily a big fan of drafting 2 quarterbacks if you're not in a QB league, and I don't think Dak Prescott is worth drafting right now in fantasy purposes. One guy I do feel that is very worth drafting right now is Justin Fields, New York Jet. Yeah, Justin Fields found another role as a starting quarterback, and I love Fields' upside. He is going to take off for the Jets this year. Fields is a rushing quarterback. We all know this. Absolute monster on the ground with his abilities to run the ball. Last season, we saw in a few starts 32 points, 23 points, 19 points. A lot of it due to his ground game. He only finished with 6 touchdown passes last season. We all know that when Justin Fields is on the field, he has really good rushing upside. 600 yards, 6 touchdowns is the projections that I'm seeing a lot out there for Fields right now. I think he does have the potential to maybe even increase these more. The Jets don't necessarily have a great offensive line. Their defense looks like it's not going to be as good as it was in the past under Robert Saleh, but this team has one thing going for them. They have Justin Fields. They have a pretty solid run blocking offensive line compared to last season. They still have Breece Hall. This team might be able to run the ball effectively. I don't expect them to be a great passing offense because outside of Garrett Wilson, there's not a lot of weapons that I really like in New York right now. But I think that Justin Fields can be a safe quarterback 1 on a consistent basis because of that rushing upside. The division's weak as well, which is incredibly enticing. Buffalo tends to struggle against rushing quarterbacks, especially in fantasy value purposes. New England, revamped defense. We'll see what they look like under Mike Vrabel. And then we know the Dolphins, where they're at right now. Ton of turnover there. That's 6 games right there where, really good matchups for them going forward. So I really like that Fields has that opportunity for plus matchups, has the rushing upside, seems like a safe option right now, and he's being drafted outside of the top 12 quarterbacks. That feels like an absolute steal for me. And if you don't trust him, throw another dart on one of these other names that we're talking about here on this list. The next player I have on here is Justin Herbert. I am not one to buy into the Justin Herbert is going to be in for a big season this year, because down the stretch last season, he had some big weeks, ultimately helping his season. Justin Herbert is not going to finish as a quarterback one this season. Yep, I said it. Justin Herbert, the advanced stats aren't necessarily telling me that he is going to be great. In the first half of the season, he was 30th in expected points per game at 15.6, and he wound up finishing the season with 16.7, finishing as the QB 15. Greg Roman basically makes quarterbacks. Justin Herbert's talented. Don't get me wrong. Herbert's incredibly talented, but Greg Roman is basically making him a glorified game manager in his system. They have Najee Harris. They have Amari Hampton. They have that running game that Greg Roman wants to run. And with Herbert, you don't necessarily have the consistent week-to-week basis. He had a 56% bust rate last season at the quarterback position. And the quarterback position, unfortunately, is one where if you do have a bust week, it feels like it completely ruins your week because of how consistent quarterback options can be. Herbert is too sketchy for me, and I think with Najee Harris and Amari Hampton, it's a better duo than what they had last year at the running back position, leading to more running options for this team. They have a great defense too. They're not necessarily going to have to throw the ball a ton as well. The volume's not going to be there. The scheme is not going to be here. And I think Justin Herbert is in for a rough 2025 season in fantasy football purposes. I'm sure he's going to be effective. I'm sure he's going to be efficient. But in fantasy football, I am all out on Justin Herbert heading into next year. The next player I have is Brock Purdy. I think Purdy is a sneaky option for the season. The 49ers get healthy on offense. They return Christian McCaffrey. They return Trent Williams. The wide receiver room looks like Ricky Pearsall. Brandon Ayuk will return at some point. And then you have Jawan Jennings there as well. George Kittle's still there. Like, this team has pieces. I really like the offensive line and what they've done there as well. Purdy, on the other hand, just down year last year. The offense didn't necessarily click because of the injuries. He still finished as the QB9 in points per game, and then the QB12 overall in 17 games, which is a very good sign to see. He's not getting drafted at that point right now. And it was very interesting. I think that Purdy's touchdown rate being where it was last season, and we know that Kyle Shanahan loves to produce these high-value quarterbacks that are efficient. I think we see a bounce back in regression. I think that, getting players healthy, Purdy's 8.5 yards per attempt. We're still the second best in the NFL last season. This offense is still an explosive offense. Brock Purdy is still a solid quarterback, and clearly the 49ers feel that way with how much money they paid the guy. But this player can really dominate for us in fantasy because he's outside of the top 12 quarterbacks. He's a late round flyer right now. And if you pair a guy like Brock Purdy up with Justin Fields, you have to be incredibly confident about your quarterback position heading into the 2025 season. And I think Purdy's a guy that we have to take a look at, have to understand that this offense is in for a positive regression this year. And we just trust that the 49ers are completely back. The next player I have on this list is Matthew Stafford. We are staying in the NFC West, and I know the Rams offense is incredible. I mean, Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, dare I say anymore? I mean, this offense is loaded right now, and they have Sean McVay, but Stafford is not a consistent, viable option in fantasy football. He's incredibly inconsistent, and we saw last season Stafford really struggled producing consistent performances in fantasy football. He had 9 points in week 17, 7 points in week 16, 8.2 points in week 15, and this was when they were healthy at the wide receiver position. And when they weren't, he struggled like this on a consistent basis. The rushing upside is not there for Stafford. And even in a 4-touchdown, 295-yard performance, he only finished with 27.8 points. I love this Rams offense. I love this team. I think they are a Super Bowl sleeper heading into this year. But in fantasy football purposes, without the rushing upside, Matthew Stafford feels like a bust candidate for me. I would completely avoid him. And despite the name value and despite the offense being really good, it feels like Matthew Stafford will be in for an underwhelming fantasy campaign. heading into next season. Our last player that I have on this list, Caleb Williams. And Williams is very controversial just because last season wasn't great. Looked like he took some steps back, and a lot of people don't buy into the Bears offseason hype. I look at a team at face value. I look at what the guys have done. Prior to that, the Bears are in for a nice season on the offensive side of the ball. The talent around Caleb Williams, just like Matthew Stafford, is incredibly good. And the one thing Williams has that Stafford doesn't is rushing upside. This guy ran for a ton of yards last season, over 400 rushing yards last year. And despite, the inconsistencies at the coordinator position, the Bears completely faltering, we saw Williams become a viable option down the stretch in the second half of the year with multiple 20-point outings last season. I think with Caleb Williams teaming up with Ben Johnson, we saw what he did for Jared Goff's career. I think it's going to be a great thing for Williams. I don't know if we're going to see it right away from week one, but I at least expect to see Williams take a step forward and last year be his floor in fantasy football. He's more expensive probably than I'd like him to be, but as a QB 13, he's still coming at a pretty good discount for a potential QB1 this season. My biggest concern with Williams is that being in Chicago, the conditions aren't always going to be great for a passing game, but I think that Williams can overcome this with the talent around him. I think he can still be a viable option with that rushing upside. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Which of these options are in for a big 2025 campaign in fantasy football? If I missed a guy, let me know down in the comment section below as well. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz fantasy football content, and I will catch you guys next time.